Okay, my friends. So here we are back again. As I was saying, these things that happen, that the Bible, the Quran, the Talmud are, and it's not so much the books, because books are written words that religions interpret in order to keep their people in line. But what is happening right now, as far as the allowance and the pushing, especially by extremist religious people, we must admit that only a mentally deranged entity would push for these things, allow men to have mutually exclusive books. If God is so powerful, I mean, just having one book instead of three would stop a lot of violence and hatred amongst his children, you know. Uh, Yet this God, which is promoted today, seems to be fine with all that. I mean, hatred for Muslims, hatred for Jewish people, hatred amongst Christians who do not agree, etc. I see why some young people and some older ones would say God is dead. Well, I would say that God may be dead, or maybe he's not dead. Maybe there is a loving God somewhere out there that, and maybe the soul lives after death. However, the problem that we have is most religious entities and organizations have done everything in their power to prove that God is not real. Yeah, it's ironic. But by their actions of excluding people, pushing people, it's like, what kind of a parent, what kind of a loving God would do that? Oh, well, he's not behaving well, so we're going to throw him in the pits of hell. Really? Forever? Throw. Now, in this life, through their approval of genocides and abuses, interference and attempt to control others, all of these religious entities have shown evil, that it is real. Evil is real. And it is powerful. And God might not be. It's up to us to prove otherwise by our actions. Let's be honest and accept God speaks to no one. If you have any inherent thoughts that God spoke to you, I like to see actual evidence of this, because evidence that, oh, well, it's happening in my mind because God talks to me, but nobody else can hear him. That thing that actually is evidence that it's something happening inside your mind, and you probably are having some kind of delusional problem. Okay, now, and this is not to offend those that truly have, because I have lived amongst people who are truly religious, who truly have in their soul a belief of a God. They don't come around with, well, God talked to me. No, they're like, hey, based on this thing that I read, or based on this thing that I believe, I think that God would not want this or would want that. But see, there's a step back from delusion. Okay? Now, God doesn't talk to us. We are the ones that are supposed to be doing the discovering. That's why he gave us a brain. And that brain sometimes can malfunction. And we have to be aware of that and not try to fool people into, oh, I was talking to God the other day. No, you weren't. You were talking to yourself. But anyways, in conclusion, if you want to do good because you are convinced of the inherent power of goodness, then do so. If you're doing good because you're afraid of a bigger power, examine yourself. I don't think a God, if she exists, that can see inside your heart would let you in because you were good out of fear. In trying to expand your beliefs by force or by law, There is also fear of retaliation by a bigger power, which means in your heart you would do evil if you could. So, no, you will not fit in your own version of heaven. We have no one to talk about this, to verify this. If you're hearing voices, it's possibly time to see a psychiatrist. If you imagine you hear voices, are enlightened with an answer, that is not talking to God. That is talking to yourself and coming up with a plausible answer, which does not carry the authority of God. Let's be honest. We are left to our own devices, and we need to face each other with calm acceptance and find the answers which are not in the holy books. They are in our intellect. Even if you believe in God, what do you think He gave us an intellect for? To bury it in the sand? Read up on Luke 19:11-27, the parable of the talents. You know, where it's evident that even if you are a Christian or a Muslim or someone that believes somehow that Jesus had something good, that is like, hey, we're supposed to use our intelligence because that is what God gave us. If we don't use it, then we are at fault for not using something that He gave us to invest in. We have every responsibility to use our intellect to arrive at conclusions to solve the problems of today. Because even if you believe in God, He gave you a brain. So you wouldn't be bothering Him all the time, I think, like, oh, why this, why that? It's like, think, use the brain. Why did I give you the brain? So you would think, not that you would go back to writings that were done over 7,000 years ago. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, press the like, follow, whatever, and I will see you on the next one, and I hope we can keep this relationship going, guys. Thank you very much for your attention.